Welcome to a very special Christmas edition of VistaTalks. I'm your host, María Roa, joined as always by probably your favorite host, Simon Hodgkins. As the year comes to a close, we're taking a moment to look back and celebrate some of the incredible conversations we had with guests from all around the world, from healthcare and AI to branding and marketing to sports and business strategy. It's been a year full of insights, inspiration, and stories that really stayed with us. In today's episode, Simon and I will revisit the moments that made us think, laugh, and reflect, and we'll highlight the guests who brought fresh perspectives from very different industries. So grab a cup of something warm, settle in, and let's unwrap the best of Vista Talks this year. What do you think, Simon? Should I start? Do you want to start? How do you want us to go?
Well, I'm really intrigued to hear some of your favorite episodes. I know I've got some lined up. We had a tremendous year. We've had some really exceptional guests, as we do every year, I suppose. But it's great to be back here with you, Maria. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got to say. So maybe you start. Let's hear about some of the episodes that you particularly liked.
Great. I'll go then. I think we kind of start maybe talking about one of the hottest topics there was this year, AI. And I have to say, also this year, I was very lucky to attend quite a few life sciences events like RAPS, DIA, Scope. So I thought it was specifically interesting, the episode you recorded with Dennis Roach. You guys talk about healthcare and AI, but specifically about using AI to empower, not replace human care. This was episode 170, and Dennis is the founder of eAltra, and he discussed how artificial intelligence can enhance patient care, without losing the human touch. He emphasized that technology must serve human compassion, not diminish it. And I feel that was really interesting. This actually resonates a lot with broader debates about AI right now in society, and a lot of the presentations that I did here when I was going to all these conferences. I really think that if our audience have to watch this episode, have to watch any episode, this was a great one to go for. He even said something like AI can take away repetitive tasks, but empathy is irreplaceable. So I would let them know episode 170 is a great episode. What do you think?
Well, I know Dennis. He's doing great work at E Ultra, as you say. You've set the bar high because it's AI and healthcare. And one of the things that Dennis did say, because I remember talking to him, was that you shouldn't design healthcare for the way, that you should ensure that you actually design for healthcare the way that healthcare should be, not the way that it is today. And I thought that was very insightful. And I also like the fact
Indeed.
that he has this sort of methodology, Maria, where he sort of prototypes. He likes to think about prototyping slowly, then building quickly, but also staying humble. And he talks a lot to users of the technology. So he talks to whether they're patients or clinicians or buyers. And I think that approach is what's really working for him and his organization. And I liked it as well, because I like the work that he's doing in the healthcare area, but also he blends human and AI together in the healthcare space. And you and I both know how important the human element still is, even though AI has exploded this year, as you sort of were saying there.
Yeah, there you go. AI, it exploded. And I can say it, I've been seeing it all around, not only the life sciences event. We also went to Techum, we went to Lock World, we went to lots of events, and everyone is asking about AI. So, is there any other episode that comes to your mind that we should suggest our audience? And please don't say, oh, we have a time limit. I know you. I know you.
Well, I think one that maybe I think was a little bit different would be do you remember the episode that we did with Neda?
Oh yeah, it's also AI
So
and healthcare.
yeah, Neda Alipur, and it was AI, and just as you were talking about Dennis, it sort of comes to mind because
Mm-hmm.
what she's doing in artificial intelligence is she's challenging a lot of sort of the norms when it comes to things like healthcare, beauty tech in particular, social media, surveillance as well. We got into a topic of surveillance, but to sort of illustrate what we talked about was she's a PhD researcher. Sorry, I should say that. She's at TU Dublin, and she's doing some, I think, what you could classify as groundbreaking work on image processing, but importantly, AI skin tone representation. And that's a very complex field. The more you get into it, the more you understand the biases and the problems that we have with AI image recognition when it comes to skin tone. And I think the way that Neda was able to sort of take us through some of the implications and also some of the groundbreaking work that she's doing in the field of AI, which will help everybody and create hopefully a fairer, more unbiased system. It really sort of, if I'm honest, Maria, I think it gets to the heart of the bias in data and the real world consequences of that for people. So, biomedical ethical AI is something that I know is under scrutiny. The data sets that people have used are maybe not as broad as are required in this complex global world that we live in. And I think where the data sets are incomplete and the skin tones are incomplete, it's actually led to some real harm for people with darker skin tones in lots of different ways. And I think Neda brought that to life a little bit. Episode 179 maybe.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was that when, and I think you're right. It is very important that,
Mm,
I mean, skin tones. I remember when we started with the emojis, and we only had like what
right.
that kind of like pinkish yellow, but that it wasn't even yellow. It was like orange,
Mm,
I would
mm,
say, and that kind of like dark brown. And now there is a lot more range, and it's the same thing with makeup. So beauty, as she was talking about that wider range,
mm.
women, we care a lot, you know. So thank God, representation, branding,
Well, I mean,
those things
ultimately,
matter.
yeah, and I think ultimately the work that she's doing should get us to a more inclusive AI approach, a more inclusive AI system. And she is doing, if people are interested in image processing and how AI skin tone is impacting things and what is being done to try and make that better, she's doing some great work and it's definitely worth a listen.
Yeah, in fact, Neda's episode was also another great suggestion. Thank you, Simon. I think we could be talking about AI all day, but we didn't only do episodes about AI. And I think whenever you're talking about Neda's episode, sorry, and how important image representation is, I was thinking about how important is branding nowadays, that we use the digital word for everything. You made me think about another episode that I really enjoyed. It was the one with Janice Tridon. Sorry if I don't pronounce it right. I think you had the interview with her, so maybe you know it. Is it Janice Tridon? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, no,
Straighten.
you've got it right. Jana's straight, yeah,
Okay,
Jana's great, but
Straighten.
yeah, but I
Yeah,
want to hear what you thought of that one because
yeah.
Jana is she's I mean, you go to social media, she's hard to miss. She's
Yes,
sort of very busy.
and you were talking about branding and the digital world and the representation. So I was thinking she's the founder of Renegade Marketing, and I believe she was also a former leader of Adobe and PayPal. And I remember she was sharing some bold insights and on building standout brands in digital marketing and digital markets nowadays, which, as we already know, are pretty crowded. So we need to stand out. Things like what Neda was sharing with us, that's super important. That's what it make us stand out. And what Jana was sharing, what she was talking about, is about that specifically, about brands needing to be bold, rebellious, how company need to draw away from the plate safe mentality. And I really liked her energy. I think her episode number was 175. And I think after what you mentioned about Neta episode, we should add to that that they need to make sure brands include representation and obviously localization, which is the best mix.
Well, she uses the sort of term rebellious in a great way because it's sort of woven into the creativity that she brings to it. But ultimately, as a great marketing person, Jana helps brands to cut through the noise. And as you say, her sort of pedigree um, before setting up her own organization to do this with big and small brands is she was with Adobe and she was with PayPal and, doing really significant work there. So I think the work that she's doing now with her team, one thing that she works on is something called a wild card idea, which is something that's very unique, maybe a little bit bold, maybe a little bit risky, but I like that sort of wild card approach, sort of something very different, maybe that they're not thinking about. And she doesn't sort of force a company or a brand down a certain path, but she does this sort of balancing act where she can assess the risks and the opportunities, and she gives this sort of blended approach to, well, we can do this and that, and I think it's a great approach, but I like the sort of nice rebelliousness in the creative streak that she applies, right?
I love that because, as I said before, it's like we all sometimes, not always, but we sometimes try to keep it safe, because you never know. Because let's see what the others do. No, let's not. Let's just do what we think we should be doing. And if no one does it, maybe that's the way. So yeah, let's be rebellious. Let's try something completely new. Uh, I don't know. Do you think there's any other episode that you think of maybe branding or marketing or
Well,
something that
not
that
not just
also
marketing,
comes
but
to your
you
mind?
mentioned localization earlier as well, and I had a
Yeah.
fascinating discussion with Catherine Melchior Ray, and
Mm,
Catherine's actually launched a new book as well, which I highly recommend. And just for people that maybe are not familiar with Catherine, she's a faculty member and a lecturer at the University of California, the Berkeley Haas School of Business for people that are familiar with it. And she's the president of Global Ali. She speaks on many stages around the world. And as I mentioned, she's an author. So it was great to catch up with her. Her roots and her background is very much sort of San Francisco, multicultural, and she's big into bridging trust and cultures. But um, I think the secret sort of source that she shared when we were talking was she's always tried to stay not miles ahead, but they're just half a step ahead, and that sort of served her well. But um, she worked and lived in France and Japan, Maria, and on top of that, she's led teams in. We were mentioning Adobe and PayPal earlier when you were talking about Jenna, but she's worked with teams and brands like Nike, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Hyatt, and many others before she moved into the sort of teaching at the Berkeley Haas School of Business. And I think it's a great example. She talks about some brands like you're talking about brand and marketing. She talks about things like Kit Kat, the brand, the confectionery, the chocolate
yeah.
brand, and how it's very different around the world. Some people might be aware of that, and all the different flavors, like in Malaysia, it's
Some
it's
people go
definitely
crazy
worth
for the Kit Kat flavors in Japan because they
Japan
have
in
like,
particular, yeah, and Cat Dark Borneo, all these different sort of elements. So it's a great example where Catherine was talking about brands, keeping brands consistent around the world and true to what they stand for and their values, but also having that sort of creativity in their approach to their content, their marketing, which impacts everything from their product range through to everything else, but also staying top of mind with consumers. So it was kind of a discussion around working with, global teams, the competitive element, staying this sort of step ahead, and also I suppose her multicultural roots and her focus. So I think that's a really rounded one because we touched on everything from technology, brand, marketing, localization. So it was a great one. And of course, she came to that conversation with so many ideas and great explanations because she just launched a book, and I think it was a great time for us to actually catch up. So I was very grateful to have Catherine on the show, and that's a great episode too. She was episode 181. Definitely worth either listening to on audio or watching the full episode on video.
Great. Uh, I think uh, I don't know. Do we have time maybe for a couple more? Do you want to say one more? And
Well, I think our end of year wrap up on things is kind of a bit of a tradition at this stage. So I'd be disappointed if we didn't include a couple more because you know me, Maria, and you've had to tell me in certain years past that I can't squeeze everybody in. But I'm so enthusiastic about some of the great discussions we've had, and I always feel a little bit bad not sort of name dropping a lot of the great guests that we've had, but we don't have time to talk through everything. People can find them all on VistaTalks.com, right? All the last episodes over the last 12 months. But let's add a few more. Can we take a bit more time, add a couple more?
let's go for it. Let's
Okay.
go. I think maybe I would like to mention, oh, Melanie O'Connor. I really loved that episode. Melanie, I remember that one especially because I mean, I was so surprised. I didn't know about her before you interviewed her. I mean, before Visit Talks, I had no idea, and she was an elite swimmer who represented Australia 4 times at World Swimming Championships. And I am surprised because I know some people might say, "Well, you never know everyone who represented in Olympics." I know, but I was a swimmer myself, as you can see for my shoulders. I was a swimmer, so I am specifically interested in Olympics. So anyways, I was really interested because she represented Australia and now is head of marketing at BDO Ireland. And she was telling you how she transitioned from elite athletics into business leadership, how she offered this unique perspective on resilience, performance, and marketing innovation. She was talking about how the discipline and focus as an athlete helped her in the business world. And she was talking about how performance was about preparation, whether in the pool or in the boardroom. And I completely would understand that because I remember when I was training so hard for like my little championships compared to what she was doing. And I would remember I was still, I would say, a teenager. I was, well, not even a teenager. I was like 12, and I would have to wake up really early in the morning. I would have to go training 5 days a week, even in the weekends. And I would have to make like 60 I don't know how you call it, but 50 crawl, swim 50 long
The 50 lengths of the pool,
lengths,
right? Yeah.
50 lengths of the pool, and whatever. And for me, that was a lot. It took time from being with my friends and all that. But I felt that also helped me, to know that if you want to get something, you have to give something too. You need that preparation. You need to be able to be a strong. You need to know what you want. You need to work for it. Anyways, I mean, what resonated most with me was her emphasis on adaptability. She was talking about that a lot. She was talking about a strategic thinking, about challenging the status quo, and how these qualities are not only essential in sports and business, but they've become critical in today's world where AI is reshaping how we all work, and live.
Yeah.
And this is probably why my wish for all of you, I would say, kind of like would be to continue to embrace adaptability, not just as a skill, but as a mindset, because it allows us to keep pace, to embrace change, and to turn disruption into your opportunity. I mean, right now in these times, when AI is bringing so much change and people feel like, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know where my work is going, we need to embrace adaptability because that's the key that we need to grow. We need to innovate and thrive. Let's make AI work for us, not against us.
Well, I think as well as the sporting aspects of the pinnacle that she got to, representing Australia and Ireland, was really good. It's always interesting when you get somebody that's performed at an elite level talking about business. I think that it adds a particular dynamism and a particular that sort of winner's mindset to the way they go things. But again, I'm going to come back to the human element because one of the things that we talked about was although we're embracing AI, Melanie did make a point that, it's only things are only as good as the people, and that the people and the culture have to be aligned with the strategy, whether that's a marketing strategy or whether that's an AI strategy. So I think that's a great suggestion, Maria. And I particularly like that episode too. And of course, in a senior role at BDO, which is a very well recognized organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, my
Yeah.
turn again, right? Um,
Yeah. I don't know if you can bet at that.
I think they're all good, it's very hard. And I'm back here again and I don't like it because I have to single people out. But I'm going to go with Kate Irwin, maybe. Um,
Oh, that was a great one
right,
too.
because I've known Kate. Sorry for those that maybe may not have caught the episode. Kate is the managing director for EMEA at an organization called Skift. That's SKIFT. And Skift have been doing some great work in the world of travel and other areas for many, many years now. Obviously, they went through an interesting time when we all were in lockdown during the COVID pandemic years. But travel, worldwide travel, and everything that it sort of touches really came back in a big way. And Skift is doing, I suppose, really well in lots of different areas. But I know some of the principals at Skift, and we know the great team that they have there. But she was in particular sharing a little bit about um, the values that make Skift stand out, in her opinion, when it comes to global travel. And they're doing some interesting things around global travel intelligence. And I love the positioning that Kate was talking about, where Skift, they wanted to be, and it probably is already described by many people as the daily homepage for the travel industry. And I like that. That was very sort of global and inclusive all in one go because
Mm-hmm.
Rafat, the guy who originally set it up, and their CEO, who I've also had on one of the shows, is they're a great team, and they have a lot of trusted journalism. They do an awful lot of deep research and rich research, and I've been very fortunate to attend a number of events and research sharing events, and the level of detail that they go into is really unparalleled. They offer some great insights into the world that they're involved in. Again, they cut through the noise. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. And we talked about everything across Europe, the Middle East, Africa. We talked about how Europe recalibrated, how people are seeking value. We talked a bit about the Gulf and experiencing this hyper growth, which was a very interesting sort of touch point. And India also came up in our discussion as sort of the future travel superpower. So we kind of went international in that discussion. But ultimately, it came down to a word which I like, as you know, which is trust. And it came down to not only their sort of fierce independence, but the deep trust that they build through their editorial independence and the fact that people come to them because of the high standards that they hold. And that particularly resonated with me, Maria, because they've got a commitment to building trust. And Kate went as far as to sort of discuss the fact that that's a rare commodity in today's digital world, which is just content everywhere, noise everywhere, short-term wins. But to build quality and trust and commitment um, over time, I think is what makes a difference between a brand and a super brand, or a company that you want that you're interested in, and a company that you really want to work with, buy from, and partner with over time. So some great discussions around building global relevance, some great discussions around how they listen around the world to make sure that they are keeping their finger on the button, or as Catherine Melchior would say, staying a step ahead. Um, and I think we did touch on AI too, because we've kind of AI in lots of the conversations this year. But they were very excited about their predictive intelligence, and it was about how a travel brand can understand what a traveler wants before the traveler even articulates it. So it was almost sort of predicting what's required, and I think that was quite an interest. I won't go into it here because it's quite a deep conversation, but to paint a picture, it was about envisioning where AI actually gives you a truly personalized, seamless experience. And she didn't feel that we're there right now, but she feels very strongly that we're sort of scratching the surface and we're making big progress here. So I think a lot has happened in travel post pandemic, and a lot more is happening in travel as it comes to personal experiences. I know that was a bit of a long one, but I like what Skift are doing. They're a great resource for knowledge for anybody who's got any interest in the travel area around the world.
I completely understand. And as you say, there's so many episodes, and I feel like you're right. So many are coming to my mind, and I feel we're leaving so many out. But I guess that's why VistaTalks.com it's for. And they can also watch them in YouTube. I mean, like there are so many options. So if anyone is interested to see all of the episodes that we had this year, they can go and check them out and decide which one they think they're more interested in, or just watch them all, which might be the best option.
Yeah, great for if you're in the gym or going for a walk or just, get five
Exactly.
minutes. Yeah. And the holiday period always hopefully people are going to get a bit of downtime. So maybe a few of them might get caught up with. But I want to thank everybody for being on the show this year, Maria. I'm always impressed with the caliber of the people that we have on the show, and everybody who's been on Vista Talks from the very first episode. We've been very fortunate at the wealth of knowledge that people have shared,
Yes,
their insights, their expertise, and it's great having you as a co-host. And I believe you might even be hosting more episodes as we go throughout
I
2026. I
will.
hear a rumor. I hear a rumor.
I will. I will. It's just that you're very kind to do it while I'm away on
Yeah,
at
you've been
events. But
traveling an awful lot for business this year. Very aware of that. Yeah,
yes, yes. I was at events while you were recording a lot for me. So thank you for that,
no
Simon.
problem.
I know people appreciate you a lot more. I mean,
Well, Maria, it's always a pleasure to be here with you, and I actually enjoy when we catch up and do a bit of a recap. It's great.
me too. I love it. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this special holiday episode of Visit Talks. As I said, you can watch all the episodes in VistaTalks.com or watch them on YouTube. We hope you enjoy our year in review and that you will continue to be with us throughout 2026. Don't forget to follow us and stay tuned for more exciting content in the coming year. Happy holidays!
Thanks, everybody.